And it was really out of control. So they do themselves no favors. People are leaving in droves. I mean, I guess it takes a long time for all this the bad policy to play out and for the pendulum to swing, for people to get mad enough to vote these people out of office. But, you know, if Gavin Newsom thinks he's going to be president of the United States, I think he's got a massive wake-up call.
Jackie DeAngelis just turned Gavin Newsom into a human meme. And not the flattering kind. 1 second he's slicking back his hair. The next he's mentally buffering like a broken iPhone. When Wall Street wit collides with California slick, the result is predictably messy. Gavin tries to clap back but forgets to bring the clap, leaving him exposed. This takedown is so brutal that even Newsom's eyebrows seem to be trying to flee the scene, making for a meltdown is
so far gone that it's very mind-boggling. But what I will say about this and Pete Buttigieg is part of the reason where it went into this inflation spiral is because all of the money we spent, infrastructure I include in that, about $1 trillion, right? Having said that, we have real infrastructure problems in this country that we should be focused.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you think. Gavin Newsom showed up expecting a TED Talk, but instead walked straight into a policy buzzsaw named Jackie DeAngelis, who turned California's golden boy into a walking contradiction wrapped in hair gel. This wasn't just another media panel, it was a televised bloodbath disguised as a discussion, with Jackie serving facts with the precision of a brain surgeon and the enthusiasm of a Wall Street analyst who just shorted.
It's a case that flies in the face of a lot of things people in California got to live with every day.
Well, first of all, it's a bit of the antithesis of the last segment. We're talking about what Trump is doing with deregulation, you know, trying to expand energy right now. You know, you've got the rolling brownouts, you've got expensive gasoline, businesses struggle to stay there. You know, my home state of Texas, we have been a great beneficiary of many of the policies of Governor Newsom, right, bringing businesses to Texas. And it's because, you know, this is an economic challenge for companies. And by the way, California is the home of many of the world's leading technology companies.
Meanwhile, looked like a substitute teacher asked to explain quantum physics with a crayon, while Jackie came locked, loaded, and economically caffeinated. She didn't just discuss policy, she eviscerated it, opening with a precise data dump showing why Californians are fleeing the state like it's on fire, which, to be fair, it sometimes is. She laid out the migration crisis like it was an open house, skyrocketing taxes in one room, a spike in homelessness in another, and over there, a gallery of shuttered businesses and laws apparently drafted with glitter.
The Democratic frontrunner for governor of California is in 2026, don't you? It's Kamala Harris,
I know.
Jackie. So, I mean, you're not in California, but like with that kind of leadership on the horizon, are you feeling good about the state?
No, I'm not very optimistic about the prospects. I don't think the state's going to get its act together. We'll see what happens. People really have to, I guess they told me here in New York City, you have to hit rock bottom about the criminals that are being released, about the migrants and the sanctuary city status. We have to hit rock bottom before something changes, or Eric Adams has to be indicted or face indictment. That could happen too. But what I do like on the business front is the Walgreens CEO talking about how locking things up doesn't fix the problem, because we've
tried to spin it, puffing out his chest, dusting off climate catchphrases, and sprinkling buzzwords like Parmesan on a sad salad. Innovation, equity, a renewable future. But Jackie didn't blink. Instead, she calmly asked why a state that supposedly thrives on innovation has tech companies fleeing faster than a Silicon Valley intern late for kombucha. Where else does that make sense? You had a huge refinery that just closed there as well. They do everything that they can to discourage energy, not only from the production standpoint, but to bring the end product to their users, Brian. And that's why they pay so much for energy there. That's why whenever we talk about gas prices, we always say, oh, excluding California, because it's such a mess there. That they bring it in, it costs more. Yeah. With respect to their gas, for example, they have special environmental blends that makes, you know. Gavin clearly assumed his charisma would save him smile. In place, slick suit on, exuding the charm of a man preaching climate change while flying private to Napa. But Jackie wasn't buying it. She pulled out stats like a magician pulling rabbits from hats. Except these rabbits were unemployment rates, budget deficits, and enough regulatory red tape to strangle a bald eagle. Then came the unforgettable moment when Newsom tried to clap back. You could almost hear his inner monologue, cheering him on. You got this, Gav. Just pivot to green energy and flashed that Kennedy grin. But the second he spoke, it was like a software glitch, mid-update. Words came out, but coherence had left the chat. He leaned on slogans, tossed in jabs about climate leadership, and tried to paint California as a national model. Jackie, deadpan, as ever, responded with a simple, yes, a model of what not to do. The studio went silent, not awkwardly, but cinematically silent, the kind of silence where dramatic music seems to swell and a slow zoom captures Newsom's soul, reconsidering its life choices.
California used to produce 60% of the oil it consumed, and they've got reserves as high as 30 billion barrels, and yet today they produce only 23% of what they consume. So they need this stuff, they have this stuff, and instead they spend money on floating windmills off the coast.
Are you reading from the Gavin Newsom editorial?
Oh no, I'm reading from another one that maybe provides a little reality check on Gavin Newsom. Little reality check.
Because that's something that he would actually brag about.
No fluff, no frills, just a pure economic roast. Breaking down California's policies like a busted spreadsheet and showing you can't claim economic success when citizens need GoFundMe just to pay their electricity bills. She exposed the absurdity of a state taxing and bankrupting its way to progress. Newsom tried to defend himself by invoking worker protections. But Jackie countered with job loss stats that made his argument collapse faster than a cheap lawn chair. It wasn't just that she had the facts, it was how she wielded them like a katana. You could see the aura deflating. Hair still perfect, message not so much. When he tried to pivot to national issues, it was the classic escape hatch. When you can't defend your backyard, point at your neighbor's lawn.
That you can put band-aids on things that harm other people in communities, and all of a sudden you'll make it better. I mean, that's had to come full circle. But locking things up isn't the answer. Not putting criminals away isn't the answer. Being sanctuary cities and putting migrants up in hotels isn't the answer. And so we've all spent a lot of money, but I think we're starting to learn.
We just want to be able to buy 2 pints of ice cream instead of 1, and not have to ring the bell for the associate and saying I'm buying 2.
Reminding everyone that while Newsom talks big about national leadership, he can't even keep people from pooping on the streets of San Francisco. California, she argued, has become the blueprint for doing everything wrong while congratulating yourself for it. You could practically feel the oxygen leave Newsom's lungs. He wasn't facing a pundit tossing red meat. He was up against a calculator in heels. And Jackie didn't even raise her voice. No shouting, no finger wagging, just calm, confident demolition. Meanwhile, Gavin looked like he wanted to evaporate into the upholstery. It got worse when she brought up Tesla. He blinked repeatedly, like his eyelids were trying to Morse code for help, and mumbled something about values, but Jackie wasn't done, hammering him on small business closures, as if reading from an unflinching ledger of California's failures.
It hasn't created anything, so let's just be clear.
That is the worst economic statistic in America right now, that he's created 10 million jobs. But what's sad here, you look at the Jeep Cherokee plant and what's happening, they're not laying people off because people don't want those cars.
Right.
People want to buy those cars. They're good cars. They're popular cars. It's not about consumer choice, about business viability. It's all about an ideology that cannot hang together economically.
He slammed the state's addiction to regulations, even highlighting how California somehow leads both in income and in poverty, a feat of bureaucratic brokenness only the government can produce. At one point, Gavin tried to summon moral high ground with vague talk of justice and equality. But Jackie calmly asked why justice apparently means people can't afford eggs. The studio reaction hovered between stunned silence and spiritual awakening. While social media had a field day, clips went viral. Jackie was crowned the unofficial queen of economic smackdowns, and Newsom's defenders tried to cry bias, but it was like yelling at gravity. The damage was done, glorious in every detail. Twitter memes exploded, GIFs of Newsom blinking like he'd been caught in a wind tunnel, edits of Jackie wielding a flamethrower, headlines reading like obituaries for Gavin's political dignity. And through it all, Newsom's team stayed silent, revealing just how unprepared some overgroomed politicians are when the teleprompter fails and someone with actual economic literacy shows up.
That we discuss time and time again on this panel are so important to people, like the economy, like the border, like our foreign policy. Then they need to get out and they need to make sure that Herschel Walker is elected, and time will tell. December 6th we'll know what exactly is happening. But I look at this from the long-term picture too. It's not just about right now. These are 6-year terms, I believe, and so it could decide what the shakeup is and what the look is in the future, and that's what people need to think about. And
And they also need to look at, how we came out of the midterms, how they're...
Knew her stuff, and didn't come with fluff or feelings. She came with receipts. That should terrify people like Gavin Newsom, because the jig is up. The era of platitudes, slogans, and political Botox is dying as voters tune in, pay attention, and fact-check on the fly. You can't just spray cologne on a dumpster fire and call it innovation. Newsom tried the classic pivot when in doubt. Talk about literally anything else. Inflation, national crises, homelessness, wildfires, blame Canada, turning the debate into a Planet Earth episode with California reduced to a blurry speck on the globe. But Jackie dug into the hard data. The kind that doesn't come with a press secretary or Instagram filter. And you could see it happen in real time. Newsom's jaw tightened. His smile wavered, and his brain hit the spinning wheel of doom. 1 trillion.
Lock things up, you don't sell as many of them. We've kind of proven that pretty conclusively. So we got California people on this set right now. One of them is Andrew Gruel, who I've kind of read your stuff. I mean,
Newsom a soft-focused lens while treating other governors like Marvel supervillains. The crowd was already mentally checking out. Newsom launched his final defense, slow-motion replay of his earlier talking points, climate investment, inclusive growth, future-oriented synergy, phrases so vague they could double as perfume names. Jackie didn't even respond. Her smirk said it all, the non-verbal equivalent of sweetie. Bless your heart. Then came the aftermath. Social media exploded into GIFs and digital confetti. Twitter went wild, with one meme showing Gavin blinking 17 times in 10 seconds like his eyelids were Morse coding for help, and another depicting him holding a white flag reading, "Please make it stop," in front of a nuclear plant.
The Santa Onofre plant was shut down in 2013 despite only needing the replacement of a steam generator for less than $700 million. And there is no form of electricity cleaner than nuclear and more reliable. It is baseload. So Alex Epstein, he has talking points about every element of the kind of energy disaster within California.
Right-wing outlets threw a full-on parade, complete with flag graphics and sound effects, dubbing it the Newsom knockout and replaying Jackie's quotes like touchdown highlights. Meanwhile, progressive media scrambled into full PR triage mode. It wasn't that bad, one analyst claimed, eyes twitching, poise masking panic. But the loudest response came from Newsom's own camp. Not a tweet, not a correction, not even a recycled talking point. Crickets. You could almost hear strategists screaming into pillows behind closed doors. Because when even they can't spin it, you know something truly broke. This moment wasn't just a viral soundbite, it was a warning shot across the bow of political theater. Jackie didn't rely on drama or cheap zingers, she brought data. Her takedown wasn't ideological, was intellectual. Let's own the libs and more, explain your math. And Gavin flunked, which is a massive problem if he's aiming for a
one more time, let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll put him out there. If we can get him elected, we'll still control everything behind the scenes and keep everything, according to status quo. That's fine for them. The only problem is that the president can't speak a coherent sentence after 8 o'clock at night. And now they're basically, they're broadcasting that to the American people, and they're trying to sell that as okay.
And,
Totally.
I think you're right. The media is fine.
This wasn't just one bad appearance, it was a preview. If Gavin can't hold his ground against a financial analyst armed with a spreadsheet and a deadline, how will he fare in a presidential debate when the gloves come off and the cameras don't cut away? It also signals a media shift that's been brewing. Substance is making a comeback, and people like Jackie, who ditch spin in favor of evidence, are rising. When someone can deconstruct economic policy, live on TV, and leave the governor of California blinking in confusion, that's not just commentary, it's a reckoning. In the end, this clash wasn't about left versus right. Facts never go out of style. And Jackie reminded everyone that accountability doesn't need a shouting match, just needs someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And she made it look effortless.
I wanted to sort of
and that's why Benson doesn't say more
than he should or can.
Because he doesn't know.
Right, he doesn't know. And that's just how I would, cap my point that I was making before, which is that there's still too much uncertainty and there's still too many moving parts and there's still too many decisions that have to be made that depend on the dominoes and how they fall.
Gavin's dream of looking presidential while dodging accountability took a gut punch. If he can't handle Jackie on a business segment, how does he expect to survive a national campaign? Oh, right, he won't. He'll be too busy Googling synonyms for resilience and hoping no one notices the emperor's missing pants. In the end, this wasn't just a win for Jackie. It was a public service announcement, a reminder that beneath all